Before the world wakes, before the first noise of the day disturbs the silence, there exists a moment. A sacred space between the ending of the night and the beginning of all responsibilities. That space is your invitation, not from the world, but from life itself. Each morning is not just the start of a new day. It is the opening of a door. And what you choose to carry as you walk through it determines not just how your day unfolds, but who you are becoming. Morning discipline is the foundation for self-mastery. When the first light of dawn breaks through the darkness, it offers a rare moment, pure, untouched by the noise of the world. This moment is a mirror. It reflects who you are before distractions cloud your awareness, before tasks steal your attention, and before the outside world dictates your inner state. In this quiet hour, you meet yourself, not the role you play for others, not the expectations of the world, but the core of your being. That is why morning discipline is sacred. It is the time when the world is still sleeping, but your soul has a chance to wake up. To create mastery in life, you must first master your mornings. This is not about productivity alone. It is about integrity. Aligning your first actions of the day with your deepest values. When you rise with intention, your day becomes an extension of that purpose. But when you wake up carelessly, reacting instead of responding, you scatter your energy before the day even begins. Discipline is not restriction. It is remembrance. It reminds you that you are not here to drift through life. You are here to grow, to rise, to shape your reality with awareness. Morning discipline is the training ground. You are not born with clarity, focus, or peace. These are cultivated in repetition. Just as a blade is sharpened through friction, your willpower is forged through consistent practice. The first moments of the day are your opportunity to choose who you are becoming. When you open your eyes, ask yourself who leads, your impulse or your intention. When you reach for your phone before you've taken a breath of awareness, you are not leading. You are following. Morning discipline demands that you pause, that you rise slowly, consciously, that you sit for a moment and remember why you are here. What are you trying to build? Who are you trying to become? Every morning offers this invitation. Few accept it. The bed is warm. The tasks seem endless. The body resists. But it is precisely in this resistance that growth is found. Discipline is not about comfort. It is about consistency. You train the body to listen. You train the mind to focus. You train the spirit to stay anchored. That training begins each morning. When you make your bed with precision, you are not performing a chore. You are establishing order. When you drink water instead of scrolling through noise, you are feeding clarity. When you stretch or move your body mindfully, you awaken not just muscles, but memory. The memory that this life is yours to shape. Each act, though simple, is a thread. Woven together, they create a fabric of strength. Morning discipline teaches that mastery is not in big victories, but in small, repeated commitments. To sit in silence for 5 minutes before the chaos begins. To move the body before the mind runs wild. To write your intentions before the world imposes its demands. These are not just habits. They are declarations. You are saying, I lead my life. I am not led by it. Some will say they don't have time. But it's not time that is lacking. It is intention. A few sacred minutes, guarded and repeated, are enough to transform your direction. Morning discipline is not about doing more. It is about being present in what you do. When your first actions are rooted in awareness, your entire day carries that energy. You become less reactive, more grounded. You move with calm rather than urgency. You make decisions from purpose, not pressure. Over time, the discipline becomes natural. like a river carving its path. Your repeated actions shape your inner landscape. Confidence grows not from words, but from keeping silent promises to yourself. Mastery is not out there. It begins with the decision to rise well. To meet the morning not with haste, but with honor. To claim the day not with force, but with presence. The discipline of the morning is the beginning of self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of all transformation. The first thoughts of the day shape your entire inner world. Before the body moves, before a single word is spoken, the mind awakens. It stretches into the silence, reaching for meaning, for orientation. In this fragile moment, the thoughts you choose are not just fleeting impressions. They are architects. They build the mood you carry, the energy you radiate, and the lens through which you will perceive the world. Most people do not protect this moment. They allow random thoughts, old patterns, and external distractions to rush in. But when you do this, you hand over your inner world to forces outside yourself. The first thought in the morning has weight. It may be invisible, but it creates momentum. If your first thought is worry, the mind will look for things to be anxious about. If your first thought is regret, the heart will remain anchored to the past. If your first thought is gratitude, peace begins to grow in the soil of your awareness. That is why awareness is everything. The quality of your morning thoughts determines the quality of your decisions, your emotions, your focus, and your presence. Do not let your mind wander aimlessly in the most important hour of the day. To shape your day, shape your thinking. Begin by observing your mind as you wake. What arises? Is it tension? Is it resistance? Is it a story you've been repeating? Or is it a clear space, a quiet readiness? Observation without judgment is the first step. When you see the thought, you take back power from it. You are no longer inside the storm. You are watching the clouds pass. With practice, you begin to choose. You do not allow the old thought to lead you into old reactions. You interrupt it, you replace it, and slowly your mornings become deliberate. This is not about repeating affirmations without meaning. It is about speaking the truth you wish to embody. When the mind hears strength, it begins to awaken strength. When the mind hears peace, the nervous system calms. When the mind hears purpose, the day begins with direction. What you think first thing in the morning is not just private. It's foundational. It lays the groundwork for your behavior. A thought that says, "I can't," will influence your posture, your tone of voice, your choices. A thought that says, "I am grounded," will lead to clearer speech, steadier focus, deeper breath. You are not trying to control every thought. You are choosing which ones you plant. Let your first thoughts be seeds of awareness, not weeds of confusion. One of the greatest errors is reaching for your phone before reaching for your own mind. The phone delivers noise. It throws you into the middle of someone else's thoughts, opinions, crises. Your own inner world is forgotten before it's even remembered. But when you begin with silence or intentional thought, you reclaim your sovereignty. You remind yourself, my mind is mine to direct. Thoughts are subtle, but they shape the unseen architecture of your life. What you believe becomes how you act. How you act becomes your habits, and your habits become your identity. The chain begins with thought. And the first thoughts of the day hold the most power, because they arise in a sensitive, open state. This is when the mind is quiet enough to receive suggestion without resistance. Do not waste that window. Train it like a sacred art. Think with clarity. Speak inwardly with precision. Even if the body is tired, let the mind declare, "I am rising to meet this day." Even if yesterday was difficult, let the thought be, This is a new beginning. Over time, this discipline rewires your relationship with yourself. You stop waking up as a victim of circumstance and begin waking up as a creator of direction. The external world may still present challenges, but your internal world is rooted. You meet the day not with scattered emotions, but with a centered presence. The world inside you always comes before the world around you. That is why the first thoughts matter more than the first tasks. Begin with awareness. Think with intention. Speak with truth. The inner world responds, and when the inner world is aligned, the outer world begins to reflect that clarity. This is how transformation begins. Not with effort, but with thought. True transformation begins in silence, not in action. In a world that praises constant movement, endless productivity, and outward performance, silence is seen as a pause, an absence. But this is a misunderstanding. Silence is not emptiness. It is the space where the deepest shifts begin. Before a seed breaks the soil, it grows in the dark. Before a river flows, the clouds must be still. Before clarity comes, the mind must quiet. That is the law of nature and the law of inner transformation. The modern mind is restless. It searches for meaning by doing more, chasing goals, running toward images of success. But all this activity without awareness leads to exhaustion. You cannot solve inner chaos with outer movement. You must first return to the place that exists before words, before decisions, before identity. The place of silence. Silence is not simply the absence of noise. It is the fullness of presence. It is the state in which the mind no longer reacts, but simply observes. In that observation, something powerful begins to happen. You begin to see the patterns, the fears that drive your choices, the distractions that mask your pain, the desires that are not truly yours. All this is revealed not through doing, but through watching. And watching can only happen in stillness. The mistake many make is thinking transformation begins with changing behavior. But behavior is the last link in the chain. Before behavior comes emotion. Before emotion comes thought. Before thought comes attention. And attention is trained in silence. When you sit in silence, you confront the truth of your current state. There is no mask to wear. There is no performance to give. You are simply there with your breath, your awareness, and your present condition. This confrontation is the beginning of liberation. Because only when you see yourself clearly can you choose to rise beyond the old version of who you've been. Transformation is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to who you truly are beneath the noise. And that can only be remembered in silence. Many avoid silence because it feels uncomfortable. The mind rebels. It wants stimulation, entertainment, distraction. But this discomfort is a sign of how much noise we have accepted as normal. Real growth is not found in comfort. It is found in the ability to stay with discomfort without running from it. In silence, you are forced to feel. And feeling is the root of healing. Without silence, you cannot hear the signals of your own body. You miss the tension in your chest, the clenching in your jaw, the shallowness of your breath. You move through life disconnected from your own system. But in silence, the body speaks, the emotions rise, the truth is heard. This is not a punishment. It is a gift. In silence, you reconnect, you remember. You feel the weight of what you've been carrying. And with awareness, you begin to release. The power of silence is not in what it removes, but in what it reveals. Insight does not come from noise. Wisdom does not arrive in chaos. The most important answers are not found in books or advice. They emerge from within in moments of stillness. Silence creates the space for these answers to rise. In that space, you gain perspective. What felt urgent begins to lose its power. What felt overwhelming begins to dissolve. What felt unclear begins to sharpen. This clarity does not come with force. It comes with presence. When you begin your day in silence, even briefly, you set the tone for the entire day. You anchor yourself before the winds of the world pull you in every direction. You become less reactive, more steady. You learn to respond instead of react. And this subtle shift is where true transformation begins. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. But it is deep, like water wearing down stone. Silence slowly reshapes your inner world. Action is necessary. But if it is not born from stillness, it becomes scattered, empty. It is silence that gives your actions depth, direction, and purpose. When you honor silence, you honor the source of your being. You step out of the noise of the world and return to your original self. The self that knows without speaking. The self that sees without judging. The self that is already whole. Transformation is not about doing more. It is about being more. And being begins in silence.